I think I have my fair share of the rejection feelings and emotions. Most of you guys don't know this, but my very first Canadian visa was rejected, and I feel that's because I didn't know these 5 rejection reasons I'm about to share with you guys. So if this topic interests you and you want to know the 5 rejection reasons for visa application, please keep on watching. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're welcome. If you're an oldie, if you're an OG, thank you so much for coming back. My name is Nneka Isanya and I upload immigration and lifestyle content right here on my channel. And yeah, you're welcome and I hope you enjoyed today's video. So before we get into today's video, I just want to say that I am not an agent. This video is not illegal advice. So please take whatever I say with a grain of salt and do your research as well. Before we begin, I just want to let you guys know that the main goal for every visa officer is to ensure that they issue visas to students who plan on going back to their country. So if you're yet to start your visa process or you're already in the process, you have to keep that in mind and make sure that you start this process or continue this process with that mindset, just so that you don't get rejected. Let's talk about my personal experience. You guys already know the drill. I always talk about my experience when it comes to situations like this. When I initially applied for my student visa into Canada, I used an agent to apply and I was rejected the first time, which means that even if you use an agent and you don't follow this general rule, the tendency of you getting rejected is still going to happen. So I'm going to be telling you guys the 3 main reasons why they rejected my first initial visa, just so that I can throw more light to the fact that the visa officer's main goal is to make sure that you go back home, go back to your home country, in my case Nigeria, after you're done schooling. I have my laptop here just in case you see me looking down. That's what I'm looking at. The first reason is I am not satisfied that you leave Canada at the end of your stay as stipulated in subsection based on your travel history. The second reason was I am not satisfied that you would leave Canada at the end of your stay based on your family ties in Canada and in your country of residence. And the third reason is I am not satisfied that you will leave Canada at the end of your stay based on your purpose of visit. So before they tell you why they are rejecting you, the first statement that is made, I am not satisfied that you would leave Canada. So that is their main goal and that is their main objective before issuing you a visa. So I just want to clarify that and make sure you guys understand that you have to make sure that you convince them or construct your application in a way that it seems like you are going to leave after you're done schooling, even if you're not going to leave, of course. Now, the common reasons for visa rejection. The first reason on my list is travel history. During my research on the CIC website, I noticed that Canada is one of the countries that implements the use of biometrics in their visa program. So does US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, France, and Japan, which means that most of these countries share immigration data. So when applying for your student visa, honesty is one of the major things you have to consider, because if you lie, they will catch you. Especially if you've been rejected visa or if you've been granted visa from any of these 6 countries I mentioned. If your visa has ever been rejected at all, you have to be honest. If not, there's a likelihood your visa officer is going to reject you because he or she cannot trust you. So I know one of the questions that is going through your head right now is, do I need a travel history to be granted my study visa? The answer is no, but it will help your application process a whole lot because you have somewhat of an evidence to go back to, and also your visa officer will tend to trust you when you have a good and credible travel history, right? I'm going to use myself as an example. So before I decided to apply for my study visa into Canada, I made sure that I traveled to different countries like Germany, Dubai, and I was also in Ukraine at that time, just so that they don't give me any excuse, right? So even after they rejected my visa based on my travel history, I used the fact that I had traveled to these countries and I made sure to also state that I didn't exceed my time in those countries, right? So when I was reapplying for my Canadian visa, I submitted proof that I visited these countries, and I also submitted proof that I didn't violate any of the rules of these countries when I was there. There was a reason I could use as a comeback to be able to justify my travel history in this particular case. But the only way this can favor you is if you don't violate the visa rule for any of the countries you traveled to. And one thing you have to know is that when you have travel history like this, it is very important for you to also show and prove that you've been to those countries before. So you will have like stamps on your passport passport that you photocopy and you attach to your application. So this will really help you and make sure that your visa is not going to be rejected again. The next point is family ties. Family ties can include family, so your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your kid, if you're married or if you have children. And it can also include assets like your properties. Do you have a land? Do you have a business? So things like this. Family ties doesn't just only mean your family, it can also mean like things that are tying you down to your home country, right? Because like I mentioned before, they want to ensure that you would return back to your country. So the visa officer delights in things like this. If your visa officer can't see any family tie or anchor that you have in your home country, the tendency of them granting you your visa is going to be very low, because in their mind they think that if you don't have an anchor back home, or if you don't have anything to go back home to, then you would not want to go back, right? But if you have something like a family or a kid or a spouse, in their mind it's like you're definitely going to go back, right? So having an anchor is a very important and crucial thing in terms of your study visa not being rejected. So when constructing your visa application, your job is to make sure that you convince your visa officer that you have family ties back home, and make sure that you mention those things. I mean, it's the very minute things that would just get us rejected, to be honest. I'm going to use myself again as an example. This was the second reason that my visa officer gave me for rejecting my visa, and he said, I am not satisfied that you leave Canada at the end of your stay based on your family ties in Canada and in your country of residence. So I have a brother here in Canada, and my parents too were back home in Nigeria. So when I was reapplying for my visa, I made sure to state that my brother, yes, is schooling here, and I mentioned that earlier when I was writing my letter of motivation. But I also tried to convince them that just because my brother is in Canada does not mean that I would also deprive myself of a higher level of education. And I also stated that my family is back home and everything I know aside my brother is back home, so I have to go back home to, you know, help my parents and help them with their business and things like that. So now I had to address two sides of the coin: the fact that I had a family in Canada and I also had a family back home, right? So yeah, that's just my personal experience. The next point is purpose of visit, and this usually happens when you want to downgrade your qualification. This obviously doesn't apply to high school students, because of course, like from high school there's no downgrading from that. For example, you have a master's in maybe public health and you want to come to Canada as a hospital administrator. Why would you do that? So he or she will question your motive, right? He'll be like, why does she want to downgrade her qualification? Like, she has a master's degree, why does she want to go that low? The only exception in this case is if maybe you have a master's degree in public health and maybe you've been working as a hospital administrator back home for about maybe a year or 2 years, and you want to come to Canada to enhance your knowledge on being a hospital administrator, then that's when that would work for you, because your anchor is in your work experience. So you can use your work experience to help explain why you would want to come into Canada as a hospital administrator. I hope that makes sense. Another example is if maybe you also have a master's degree in maybe nursing now, and you decided to change your mind and change your field and you decided to go into culinary, right? So for the past 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, you started cooking in Nigeria or back home, wherever, and you now want to come into Canada and enhance your culinary skills, then that would make sense as well. The fourth point is insufficient funds, and I feel this is like one of the major reasons why visa officers reject people. I can kind of get why it's like one of the most popular reasons people get rejected, because it can kind of get confusing in a way. But I'm going to explain to you guys how this works in terms of the student visa application. I'm going to show you guys how this works here because I have evidence. The rule of thumb is cost of tuition fee for the entire program plus 10,000 Canadian dollars per year. So that's the rule of thumb. If you're outside Quebec, Quebec is a province in Canada. As a student, you must have an extra 10,000 Canadian dollars for your expenses for a year. And if you're inside Quebec, it is 11,000 Canadian dollars. If you take a 1-year program, which maybe is about $17,000, right? So you must have 17,000 Canadian dollars in your account. This is just a general example, right? Your tuition fee might be lesser, might be higher, but $17,000 is the example I'm using. And also have 10,000 Canadian dollars added to it as well for your general expenses. So in total, $27,000. So let's say an estimate of 30,000 Canadian dollars in your bank account. Okay, if now you're going to take a 2-year program, it is totally different. If you're taking a 2-year program, you must have the tuition fee for the 2 years program down as proof of funds, plus an extra 20 Canadian dollars added to that money. I hope this makes sense. So if you're taking a 2-year program, you're obviously going to have to add more money into your account compared to someone that is taking a 1-year program, right? And most people think that you just put any money that seems big to you or something. No, that's not how it works. They actually calculate it. The 5th and final reason for rejection is job prospects. If the program you're going to take leads you to more job opportunities back home, the likelihood of your visa being approved is high. This obviously doesn't apply to high school students. So if you're in high school, of course you don't have any work experience, right? So for example, if maybe you worked as IT specialist back home and you want to come to Canada to study the IT management program, it kind of makes sense because you would have more opportunity to maybe become a chief manager of the IT department. So if this is your case, your visa officer will be convinced that okay, yes, he actually wants to come and study to educate himself and go back home and become the chief manager of the IT department. So that's how job prospect works, and that's how your visa officer views it from his own point of view. Okay, if you want to come into Canada, like the program you're taking kind of have to gel with your work experience or the degree you already have. Okay guys, so that's it for today's video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, but most importantly I hope you learned a thing or two from today's video. Leave your tips down below so that we can help each other and help each other grow. This Canada is for us, right? So yeah, please leave your tips down below so that people can learn from your experience. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also turn on the post notifications so that you can get notified every single time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys. Bye.